everybody. Welcome to Powerbombshells episode 37. We're just two broads talking about the wrestling we watch. I'm Sam, and that's Mel. First of all, I want to say real quick thank you for everybody who showed up for the live stream last week. We had a
Live scream.
live stream. Sorry. Yes. Live scream. We had a lot of fun, and it looks like some people went back and watched it afterwards. So I'm glad because I really enjoyed the casting of the horror film.
That was a lot of fun. I think we do that again next year. That should be an annual. That's
Absolutely.
That's how much faith I have in us.
I do too. And I talked about it. I was like, well, next year I'm gonna make sure I get my costume together properly. Maybe I'll start working on makeup things now, and then by next year it'll be perfected.
It was like a weird. I really was channeling my inner Liger.
I love.
I really look up to that guy. He's been through similar shit that I've been through, and he got back in there, and he's Liger. So Liger can overcome things.
I know that you said it took you like 6 hours to get your costume together. How long did it take you to become Mel again after and de-Liger yourself?
So little trick. That's you'll love this actually. I was hoping you would ask me this. Is that I used the mineral makeup, which it's pricey and stuff, guys, but it's worth it for your skin, and it lasts for freaking ever. Like I've had the same original starter kit for like 2 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
It's a little bit will go a long way. And I use the base, the foundation and primer for that before I put then I did a layer of like white-ish just to have like a palette sort of thing for that red. But the best part is so I usually use just plain old micellar water, the makeup remover water.
Right.
And I mean, it took a bit, but it came like nice and off, and my skin was not totally screwed up the next day. And
I use the stuff from pharmacy. That's a really, really good makeup remover, and it's kind of pricey, but it's definitely worth it. And it's one of those things where a little goes a long way to remove your makeup. And it's funny because like I was already like I tried a sample of it and I really liked it, and I was like I need to just go ahead and get the big jar of it. It's worth it. Nikki uses it, and then what was funny is I watched a video and they had a drag queen using it because obviously the drag queen had a ton of makeup on it. So they used it on camera, like taking it off, and I was like, listen. I was like, I just use regular makeup, and I was like, if it can remove all that. And so I was thinking about it when I was wiping my own makeup off. I was like, Melanie might need some of this pharmacy stuff. I was like, you have to de-Liger herself. I was like, this is stuff. But I figured you had some good stuff, but I was like, I know you said it took a while to get it on, so I was like, I wonder how long it took to get off.
It was just because I wanted to get it right too. Because
of course,
it's the cycle. Everybody knows the spiral when you start to screw something you want to do up, and you become like completely angry at it and throw it away. Like you're like, I hate everything about this stuff starting over.
Yeah,
but I had like not practiced, but kind of practiced with the brushes on my face like beforehand to give myself. I mean, it's a tricky thing for me still, but God bless you, time in theater. I was a stage manager and did all kinds of. I worked at a community theater and then worked at a professional one. And I actually knew a drag queen who had a show, and she was amazing and used to get same kind of deal where I was like, how do you get the makeup off at the end? Like, how do you? And I realized actually after doing what I did, because I kind of was like mixing pro tips I've picked up over the years.
Right.
And realized I was like, see, like I bet you Danhausen and people like him and Thunder Rosa, I bet you they know this stuff too.
Probably. Absolutely.
You can't do that stuff without knowing that. And it made me realize, I was like, it gave me a chuckle to think about all the male and female wrestlers who were probably trading like skincare tips in the back that do makeup.
Right,
so
right.
It was. It's a lot of fun. I just really part of it, and I'm not gonna lie, part of it was to pop a really good friend of mine because I knew it would, and I got a genuine thumbs up. So
good.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, I love it. Was great.
I had a lot of fun.
I love doing the reveal because I hadn't seen because Mel had told me that's kind of what she wanted to do, but she didn't know if she could make it happen, and so we kind of just didn't say what we were doing, basically for the reason you saw, so that we could. I didn't think about it and revealed myself automatically, but it was great to have the reaction like on camera because I wasn't sure if that's what she was doing, and I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, and so I loved it, and I think it was amazing.
Thank you. Really cool. It was worth it. Like, I don't regret any of the time that I enjoyed. It was pure joy, like, doing it because of like just knowing that I knew I was like, if I can get this the way that I want it, and I accept that I am a immature artist, as it were, in costume work. So I really lean into I like to call my art style kindergarten chic. So I really lean into my style.
It paid off.
Yeah, it was nice to carry it over to something wrestling related. Usually I've done things like Christmas cards and stuff that only a small group of people that I love get to see, but this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, you weren't sure about the game, kind of casting the game, doing this sort of Clue style thing, and that ended up being so much fun.
It was, yeah.
It'll be fun to pick new minds on something like that in the future.
I think so. Yeah,
we might have to do it with other genres.
We could. That would be really fun.
Like, maybe we could do that. John Cena was doing the like political thriller thing now, instead of just like I'm a guy to beat stuff up.
Yeah. He's in a new movie called The Independent that's on Peacock that they apparently did like zero promotion for, hardly. And like I saw there was a clip that was going around because they were like, did they write? They literally wrote this for him, and he references the time is up, my time is now. Like he says it in a political speech, and it was hilarious. And I was like, oh my God. And so SE Scoops, I was talking to the editor, and he's like, do you want to review it? And I was like, sure. And so I'll probably be writing the review at some point today, and I'll definitely make sure to retweet it. But it was really interesting. I did not see a political thriller coming from him. He's not actually the star of the film. Like his character is important to the movie, but he is not the main person. And they even like when they were listing out like the cast as the movie is going, it says and John Cena. Like it was not even like starring John Cena. It was and John Cena at the very end of like all the cast at the beginning that they were announcing. And so it was a little on the long side. It was like an hour and 47 minutes. They probably could have chopped like 25 minutes of it off there. But yeah, so I'll get more into it with the review. But yeah, it was really interesting. And it was funny because apparently it came out last Wednesday, and I guess they wanted to get it out before like election season, but then they didn't really promote it at all. And so, and I guess maybe because John Cena's not actually.
Yeah, I mean, now that you're saying it again.
Yeah, he's not actually the star of it.
Like main character, and I kind of
right. And I guess being on Peacock, like he is. I guess maybe they thought they would probably draw in some wrestling fans because obviously people, if they're already tuning into Peacock for like WWE and things like that, which is another reason I waited to watch it later in the day yesterday. Cause I was like, I did go early vote and that took like 2 hours. So that was part of the reason, but I was like, I knew Crown Jewel was on, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, everybody's going to be watching it. It's going to slow down the network. And I was like, I'll just watch it later on. But yeah. So, but yeah, I'll have that review out hopefully later today or maybe tomorrow. But it was definitely interesting for sure.
I love John Cena in, God, I just lost it. Peacemaker. He it makes sense a little bit that he's doing because The Rock did this. The Rock did the same thing when he started to want to branch out into doing more than just like. Hello, action. I am action guy to beat you up. I mean, one of the greatest scenes ever is, I think it's like that Art of War movie or something with Sean William Scott. I can't remember, but there's a whole opening sequence where he basically takes out a whole football team, but it's like all with wrestling moves. It's the most hilarious thing ever. And he has like a whole bunch of like rock lines, and
of course,
it's wonderful. And it's like, hey, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't love me some rock movies because I just do. I love them all. And but he has done some drama and stuff, and he has like branched out where he's done a couple of. It gives you the option to do it, but I think John Cena's a little bit better at it.
Right.
There's some personality swings in Peacemaker that are pretty wide and require like an actual acting skill. You can't just like make that. You have to kind of work for what he does in that show. I did not sit here like Bob wanted to watch it. He was like, "Let's go, yeah," and I'm like, "Whatever. Who cares?" The DCU has been kind of meh in my world. But then he's like, "All right, you've got to watch this." And I mean, notwithstanding that the opening
I've seen the. I haven't watched everyone, but I have seen the opening sequence because it was all over Twitter, and I was like, could not believe what I was like.
It's all the cast of the show. That's the best part, and it changes even.
Okay.
But it, in a weird way, it doesn't set the tone for how the show is. But the show is like, I'm a fan. I mean,
I've heard really great things
that I would not have expected. I would have been a fan of.
Yeah, I've always heard really good things about it. I just haven't ever watched it before, but yeah, I've heard really good stuff and about it, and a lot of people seem to be impressed by his range and his abilities on that show. It just shows a different side, I guess, that they never really would have expected to see. Especially because, like you said, he came from like the action film, like where he did the Marine 58.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did like a bunch of that stuff. So it definitely seems interesting that maybe the Independent is kind of testing the waters for like maybe a little bit more of dramatic John Cena, and I guess because he's playing a political candidate, it kind of works because like in the speech, it was like almost like he was cutting a wrestling promo because it was
of course, that's essentially
and so it fit. So it's not like he had to stretch too much for that role. But yeah, so it was interesting. I liked the movie. It was just like I said, it was slow in some parts, and I'm trying to be careful not give everything away.
Don't tell you. If you guys want to know, you're gonna have to read Sam's article.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, it's on SE Scoops. We'll share it.
Yes,
we'll share it somewhere, like maybe here on Powerbombshells.
If you're still on that website, we'll be sharing it there. But if for some reason you are thinking of leaving that website, we are also on Instagram, and I'm trying to get a little bit better about using it more often. I do use the Insta stories like to try to promote the episodes and stuff like that as well. But yeah, we're there too. So if you decide that you're not going to be at Twitter anymore, you can come follow us at Powerbombshells.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, the great meltdown.
Yeah.
I know. So that's for smarter people in a different world than us. So let's talk about Shibata.
Let's talk about that because that was incredible, and that's why we went with him this week. That's why I was waiting. Like when we needed to make the slate, I was like, I need these Rampage pictures to hurry up and come through because I was like, there's nobody else to put as our cover photo. It has to be Shibata.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm just gonna say it. My friend and I were marking out about the match this morning, and we were talking about like how crazy it was, and it was like. And we were in the building for the time that it happened, like before the call out. It was like, I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh my God, he called him out at Forbidden Door. I had sort of forgotten, but it was such a moment. I was like, because I remember sitting there going, oh, yes, please.
Right.
Who doesn't want to see Orange Cassidy wrestle Shibata? And then I'm like, no, wait, Shibata can't wrestle. And then it's like, but then Shibata goes into business for himself in the New Japan show, and everybody gets all uptight, and it's like,
yeah.
So I guess he's allowed to wrestle in Dynamite.
Yeah, and I think what was really cool about it is that Shibata is the one who requested this match. Yeah. He said he wants to wrestle two people in AEW, and it was Orange Cassidy and Bryan Danielson. Like, what?
Orange Cassidy's all like,
yeah, right.
It's crazy. It's like,
is this real life?
It's coming off to me. It's like coming off that amazing match he had with Will Ospreay. Shibata is like, I want to wrestle that guy.
Right?
What?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
and he,
mind-blowing.
you know what? It's awesome because he's really earned it. He is really people don't give him enough credit
No,
for how
absolutely don't.
because they don't. I think they don't like his gimmick. They don't give him
Yeah,
credit for what
they
a
don't
good
want they think
wrestler he
he's
is. Like,
yeah, and it was interesting too because, like, somebody was talking about it on Twitter, and they were talking about how and then we had conversations about it, like, in Slack and things like that, is like, Orange Cassidy's been wrestling for almost 20 years.
I
He's
know.
never had really a bad match. He's one of the safest people, like, obviously in Shibata's case, he needs to wrestle with people who are going to take care of him and be careful with him and not treat him with kid gloves, but also like recognize like this man is lucky to be wrestling. And so I think Orange Cassidy makes sense in that point in that case, besides like just the match itself, is Orange is somebody who's gonna take care of Shibata. He's gonna make sure like he's gonna get his stuff in, he's gonna make Shibata looks great, which doesn't take
Yep.
much, but he's going to protect him and make sure that he's not going to get re-injured in a match like that. And so I think, and which is kind of what you had to do with Danielson in the beginning too. And you still have to be careful with Danielson, but Danielson also is very reckless and within
Him and
limits and things like
Shibata
that.
worry me a little bit because they both have a little bit of that wild card streak where it's like,
and once they get in the ring, it seems to everything goes out the window.
Wrestlers are gonna be wrestlers. It's
right.
You're never gonna tell, and they're there. That was
right.
why I think. I mean,
well, that's probably why Shibata did the grappling match with Zack Sabre Jr. He just showed up and did it because he's wanted to, and he's Shibata, and nobody's gonna. He knew people were gonna talk him out of it, so he just was like, "This is happening." Like I still can't. Yeah, that's so interesting. I don't even know. I never did hear. Maybe they did talk about. Has it ever come out like how that match came about? Like, did he just contact Zack Sabre Jr. and be like, "Hey, I need a 5-minute match. I have to be careful. You're my partner." And nobody knows about this. And we're just gonna go out. Like, how did that? I don't think I ever heard how that came about. And
I think what it was is that he went after training and training and training. If you listen to Garrett and John LaRocca did a podcast with Carl Fredericks, and he talked about the fact that they had no idea that was going to happen.
Right.
So it must have been inside, like way inside. It must have been way in the company where Shibata
were
was
like Zack and maybe Ghetto, and was like,
and the office.
Like, yeah, and and right.
But they were really, from everything I understood, from what it was that they were like, okay, but it's just going to be a friendly. It's just going to be an exhibition match. We don't want you hurt. And that's why they picked Zack, and Zack obviously.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Zack,
again, and it's another choice where it's like, here's someone who has the body control of, I don't even know. The guy is amazing.
Yeah, like that's the safest person that he could have do a grappling match with. Like when I saw that his opponent was Zack, I was like, it makes perfect sense. Like it couldn't have been anybody else, I don't think, in that situation. I think it
would have been a really, and I don't, yeah. I mean, there's just no one else. And
I don't think so.
But, and all the credit in the world to him, because, he, as far as he knew, he was going out there to do an exhibition match with Shibata, and Shibata decided, let's make a little bit more of this. And he went with it. And that's because Zack's just Zack. He's awesome.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
the guy's awesome. Just you can't take it away. And
no, not at all.
And then I don't know. He just went with it. And I mean, it's got to be tough because as we've gone along here over the last couple of years, you're not allowed to wrestle again. And then Bryan Danielson comes back, and Paige comes back, and
Edge comes back.
Edge comes back. That's a good one. Stone Cold does, even though it's a small thing, does.
But he came back with Kevin Owens, who obviously is one of the safest people.
Again.
Like that's what, when that match was announced, obviously it's a dream match for Kevin Owens because he's always been a big Stone Cold fan. But he's also one of the safest people that he could possibly be in the ring with, and so like that match made complete sense to me. And I was like, of course it's Kevin, because Kevin respects him and admires him so much. But aside from that, like Kevin is one of the safest people, that he could possibly be in the ring with. And so it made sense that, Kevin was like, I know that I can do whatever he wants, and I will make sure that I protect him and do whatever I can. And then, of course, they were doing some stuff on the outside that I didn't expect to see. And
Yeah.
I was like, thank goodness it's Kevin, because Kevin can go with the flow. He can protect him and watch him. And I'm sure Stone Cold was probably calling things on the fly. And Kevin's probably just like, oh, okay.
Okay, are you sure? That must have been so hard. He's like, okay, I'm wrestling my hero,
Right.
and I need to make sure I don't kill him.
Right.
And I mean, but again, it's like a credit to how lucky are we that we have Orange Cassidy, Kevin Owens, and Zack Sabre Jr. to do that in those situations.
Right, exactly.
And then, but I mean, it's I've done a lot of reading, especially lately, about wrestling and wrestlers and how it works, and the mindset is like, once you, because this is a crazy business, like nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, I want to be a pro wrestler. Like they go out there and abuse themselves for the entertainment of randos. Like, so it's, once you're in, and if all these other people that are like, you're never allowed to come back, and then they start to come back. I mean, and he was training, the problem with Shibata is it's like, he never left. He's been training young lions the entire time. He's like, I can't leave pro wrestling.
I mean, of course the dojo guys in general, but then, I mean, you look at Ren Narita, and he's basically, Ren's his protege, and like he has, and it was almost like he was living vicariously through Ren, because he couldn't wrestle, and so he was like, I'm going to teach you everything I know. You're gonna go do these things, and you're gonna cut your hair. And then, he cut his hair in the same way, and he was wearing just the black trunks and sitting like him, and just kind of carrying himself that way. And then, of course, they had the match at Wrestle Kingdom, and that was another crazy thing about the match with Orange Cassidy. That is literally his third match since the injury in 2017, since he had the human. He wrestled Zach, he wrestled Ren at Wrestle Kingdom, and then he wrestled Orange. That's like, and look at that caliber, and you look at that list.
Shibata.
Yeah,
and then he wrestled Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door.
Wait, no. I mean, Shibata.
You're talking about Shibata. I'm sorry.
Shibata. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry, it wasn't that clear. Yeah, that was so.
Shibata. I thought you meant Orange Cassidy.
No. Shibata has only wrestled 3 matches. Since 2017, when he had the hemorrhage, the subdural hemorrhage.
He almost died. Yeah.
And look at his. Yeah, I mean, it's Zack Sabre Jr., Ren Narita, and Orange Cassidy. That's insane to think about, and only since 2017, and like here we are now, 5 years later. And like, that's just, and because then when I was looking at, he hasn't, and his match with Orange was his first match since Wrestle Kingdom. So Shibata had not wrestled since January. Like, that's just crazy. And then they were saying, and there was the complaint about it being on Rampage, but first of all, they're trying to make Rampage must see again and do things like that. But
Rampage again.
Yeah, and from what I understand, like, that was the date they had open, and that's what Shibata had open. And he was like, I can do it. They were like, we have this date. Can you do it? And he was like, sure. So, I mean, it was a free Shibata match on national TV. Like, what are you complaining about?
Is unheard of.
It's a free Shibata match. There's nothing to complain.
There are promoters rolling in their graves right now for how much money they lost on not just like making that a pay-per-view. The whole match here, you have to pay
and see, that's the thing. That's the thing about AEW, and that's the matches they should be giving us. They can do these dream matches that can't be done in a lot of other places. I mean, and it was because, of course, like nobody, who I thought the dream match was gonna be, I thought it was gonna be Suzuki, because Suzuki and Orange Cassidy was supposed to happen at Joey Janela's Spring Break 4, but then the pandemic happened, and so they've never been able to have the match. Well, Suzuki is here in the United States. He's wrestling. And so that's who I thought was going to be the dream match. Like, I was expecting Suzuki. And then that music hit, and it took a second for me to like realize, because it didn't click right away. And then I saw the image on the screen, and I was like, wait a minute.
I had the exact same reaction that I had when I was at Forbidden Door. It was hilarious. I had to I was like, wow, he gets you every time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was like, I knew I recognized. Yeah, I knew that I recognized the music, and I think because I was already expecting Suzuki's music, it took my brain a second to like realize like what was happening. And
well, plus it's like you
like,
didn't expect it. You don't expect it's especially because of Shibata's the situation we're talking about. You don't expect it to be Shibata.
No, definitely not. And I didn't expect Shibata to handpick Orange Cassidy as his opponent on top of that. So it was like, I mean, the match would have been great anyway, but I think the fact that Shibata handpicked Orange Cassidy made it that much better.
Totally.
And the match was great. Like it was, and on top of that, we had the extra layer of Mike Tyson calling the match.
So good.
I
know a lot of people, there was a lot of people that poo-pooed this. I freaking loved it.
I didn't
expect a huge wrestling fan.
Well, and it was so I didn't know it was so great that he was like openly rooting for Orange Cassidy, which made it, I think, even more entertaining because he was just like he got the stuff with Shibata. Like maybe he's not super familiar with him. Like it seems like he did a little bit of research and like he was aware of who Shibata was, maybe seen a few clips or something, but Orange Cassidy was his guy like the whole time. He was like, don't underestimate Orange Cassidy, and he was like telling Orange Cassidy like, come on, you got to get out of this, you got to kick out. Like it was so the match I never expected to happen, but then I never expected to hear Mike Tyson calling it either, and he did his best like to kind of get out of the way of like, because I think one time he kind of talked over Excalibur and like I guess he realized what he did and he kind of like it sounded like he was trying really hard to like not overshadow what else was going, like he was trying to fit in and not overdo it. Like it was the complete opposite of Jericho. Like he was
trying to legitimately be a broadcaster. He was doing his absolute best to like, he recognized like, because I mean, it's like I'm such a huge fan that I recognize how important the ringside people are, and I want to make sure I do a good job at ringside. And I'm really trying. And you like all the just good on him and thank you.
Right.
Like, and he was enjoying it. Like he was so cute. He was just enjoying it.
And it was interesting because like he doesn't. We had to turn the volume up one time because he doesn't talk very loud. Like he is kind of, especially when he's not like on, I guess, and he's not obviously promoting a fight or something like that. Like he was quiet. Like he seemed very respectful of the situation that he was in, which was, and I really, because at first when he came out and I was like, they're really going to have Mike Tyson on commentary for freaking Shibata.
No.
And then like, so I kind of had to, and I was like, I kind of had to back off of that. And so I just started listening and I was like, well, he really seems like he's trying very hard to fit in and he doesn't care that. And I was like, and now he's fanboying over Orange Cassidy, which I think was really great. Like it ended up working a lot better than I expected. Like I wasn't, because when I first heard, I was like, this is the match, like of all the matches you're going to put Mike Tyson on a first time ever. Like this is literally Shibata's in-ring debut with AEW and you've got Mike Tyson on commentary. But then I thought he did way better than I expected, and I was really surprised at how even with, and I think just it made it more endearing the fact that he was openly rooting for Orange Cassidy.
It was absolutely
and the match was fun. It was, I wish it had been longer. That's my only complaint. Is I wish it had been more, but I love that Shibata got in there and he was doing the Orange Cassidy kicks and just doing them and just playing into what Orange Cassidy, what makes everybody love Orange Cassidy and those of us who do. And he played right into it, and then he gave him like a false sense of security and then just was hitting him hard. And Orange was like, okay, well then if you're gonna hit hard, I'm gonna hit hard too. And then there was like the drop kick that Shibata did, and it made me, I was talking about it on Twitter about how like we've talked about it a lot of times on here about how Okada's drop kicks are so precise. They're like needlepoint, and then but his Shibata's is just so violent. Like he's just, I don't know how any other way to describe it.
Just cool, like strong style. He
was just really violent. And
crap out of you.
And then he dabbed afterwards.
I know.
Like it does that whole clip. Like I've watched that clip so many times because I love it so much.
Bless his heart for being a great wrestler and a great wrestling fan.
Right. Yeah.
And enjoying himself. I mean, we don't know. Like this may be the only time he does it. Like maybe this is it. Maybe this was his I mean, obviously, I think that Danielson match is going to happen. I worry about that, though.
I have a prediction of when that might happen. Ooh, I don't know.
Let's hear it.
Because we've talked about it in the group chat, because my friend was saying he thinks that Danielson, he was like, cards are subject to change. I think Danielson will go to Wrestle Kingdom. And I was like, Danielson is not going to miss the first show in Washington. I think Shibata and Danielson is going to happen at the Washington show. I think Shibata will not be at Wrestle Kingdom, and they'll do it on.
That's an interesting game.
They'll do it on Dynamite. That's my prediction. I don't know if that's just wishful thinking, but I was like, well, it's Danielson's debut in his home state. Shibata is living in the U.S. still because he's doing the dojo stuff. I mean,
doesn't it make you feel like they should do something on New Japan World with Wrestle Kingdom?
It does, but I don't
where they should like make. I don't know if making like the whole thing free, obviously, but maybe or having. I mean, they do crossover with the AEW. Yeah. Have the partnership at least, so there's something there.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I got little dog.
They agree. They're talking to Puff It Up.
They are talking.
Yeah. And Miley already pieced out. Like, Miley was in here before we started recording. She was asleep, and then right when we were getting ready to record, she like decided that she was. I guess maybe I was bothering her because I was talking while she was sleeping, and maybe that's why she was like, "I'm not staying in here while you're doing this." And I was like, "Well, at least you're doing it before we started recording."
Well, like I was telling Sam earlier, my every time I listen to the Boom, which I greatly enjoy, love that Kevin Neely and James McDaniel, and definitely love their takes, and love the Heat Index. And but Puppet Up likes to have conversations when they're talking, and every time she starts talking, my guys start talking back. So that's a little give back for him.
There you go.
Maybe
Puppet Up a little shot.
Here's hoping that James actually listened and Puppet Up barked back for him.
Yeah, there we go.
She's a barker too. I totally get it. It's actually adorable because I have a terrier. Like, one of mine is a terrier, and terriers are barkers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I used to have a Yorkie.
She's not even a whole terrier. She's half terrier, half healer, and
oh wow.
But we just basically we call her an OP terrier because she's just a super strong, super like terrier. So she's got the big bunny ears and everything. That's a perfect thing to share on our Powerbombshells Instagram. Everybody loves dog pictures.
They do, and we can pick. Yes, let's post pictures of doggies.
We should post pictures. We should. We talk about them. Sometimes they're on here.
Now you can meet them. So sometimes you can hear them, but now you can meet them. Yeah, it was funny. JD and Mike sort of met Miley because I was on their show a while back, and Miley was in here, and she like got up and like left in the middle of it, and I was trying to catch her on camera, but she like was like, mm-mm. So I was like, oh, and that's right. I did have to post a picture I tweeted them a picture later. And like, this is Miley.
Part of me like just feels like JD or Mike, especially Mike, would make some comment about, of course, the dog is getting up and walking out on our show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whatever. Brace for Impact's only one of the most popular shows on our YouTube
right.
channel.
Miley's like,
so humble. He's a humble.
Yeah.
We love our BFI brothers. So you got to go to the YouTube and you got to watch all these things.
Please.
And please subscribe. We actually hit 2,400 and
woo-hoo! So now we have to get to 2,500. So please subscribe, tell your friends.
That's
tell your friends.
It's one of my favorite little tricks to do is even if people aren't wrestling fans, they're almost always willing to subscribe to your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And also YouTube swaps. If you want to follow back kind of deal. We're
absolutely
happy to do that.
We love that.
It just helps us and maybe we can put a little in for those of you who are audio listeners, it helps us kind of potentially get a little bit better of an audio situation going for you guys.
And definitely, subscribe to I think they can subscribe to us on Podbean, so that definitely that helps us
out. Powerbombshells. I have managed to capture Powerbombshells all over this internet. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Man, and we've talked about it before. We were lucky that nobody had it in the beginning when Mel came up with that name. She was like,
nobody's.
yeah,
It really did shock me.
Yeah, she took because we were discussing names. I had one that I liked, and then she was like, "What about Powerbombshells?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And I loved it immediately. And she was like, "Let me go make sure that nobody else has this name yet." And so she came back a few minutes later, and she was like, "Nobody has it on social media that I can find." And I was like, "Take it now."
So, I mean, I guess that means, I haven't done it and I should because I'm so delinquent. I should go search us because we should pop right up on your Google search then.
Should.
We're the only Powerbombshells.
Yes.
We are the Powerbombshells.
I don't say anything else would be an imitation. So
yeah, that's right. Look for the cute bombshells. They're bombs. They have microphones.
So
They're
cute.
adorable. We
They
appreciate our friend.
I love our logo so much.
That's our friend at Obey Cube, who I of course don't have a thingy for, but he's got a lot of stuff going on for his store right now for holiday stuff.
Well, then we need to we should promote that on Twitter and Instagram then.
Yes, we definitely
we will do that for sure.
Because he does this and many other beautiful things.
He's incredible. I'm very glad that you were able to get him to do a logo because
he's a good human too. So you're
we love that
good human. It's amazing.
Yes.
All right. Do that. What are we talking about? Oh God! Oh no! We're gonna have to talk about the women's division, Sam.
Okay, so does this deserve a spoiler warning too? We need to make maybe we need a picture since we have the graphic for a spoiler. Maybe we need one that says talking about women's wrestling or an alert. A warning.
In fairness,
women's wrestling warning.
Warning. Here comes the women's division. In fairness, we'd have to share that with some of our friends on the network because they share our frustration, thankfully.
That is true. We'll make it a banner available. A graphic available for every show for all the shows.
There you go. You guys can
be a community banner.
There you go. Just in case you guys need this. We're gonna whinge about the women not getting enough time on Dynamite that was a really
I do on the one hand they have gone back to making Jade where she's defeating people in 2 to 3 minutes, so that I don't have an issue with, but you already know you're going to be doing that, so then you need to compensate and get more. Obviously you need more women just in general, that's forever an argument, but if you know Jade is going to get 2 minutes, then you need to make sure that there's other stuff happening with the women on top of that, because they made it seem like they made the thing like we've talked about when they brought Renee in, like they need to have Renee do sit down interviews with the women. We thought we were finally getting it, and it ended up being like
weird,
a very odd segment. Like I kind of get what they were doing, but they promoted it as Britt and Saraya. And Britt was not there, which I get. They were trying to, Britt's too good, doesn't want to be there. Like, I get that. But the segment ended up only being like a few minutes. It was really weird. The Saraya, then they had the segment with Britt, and it was, I think she talked for a couple of minutes, and it was just, the whole thing just seemed kind of off, and it didn't seem to fit in with the show at all, with like everything else happening. It just seemed very out of place.
Tacked on.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like, oh yeah, we better put the women on here this week. It's almost what it was like. Oh yeah, I guess we should do that. I guess we should put a women's title. And so it was somebody, I don't know if somebody may have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is the first time the TBS championship has been defended on TBS. I think I saw some people saying that.
Interesting.
And it seems right, because she does typically tend to defend only on Rampage. And Battle of the Belts in the pay-per-view, obviously. But sure. I believe that is a correct statement. I may be very wrong.
Right, because she does spend a lot of her time on Rampage.
Right. And so it seems like, but yeah, so it just, and some people got mad about the Nyla stuff being on, like she talked all over the 2-minute match, but I thought it fit with what's happening. Nyla is trying to distract Jade. Like she's doing everything she can to get under her skin. She stole her belt. She stole her car. Like she's doing, so it seems in storyline, it seemed like the next thing to do. I didn't have an issue with it. And plus I enjoy Twitter Nyla being on TV. Nyla is
I think that maybe there's a disconnect there. I think that some people because they're not familiar with Twitter Nyla. Maybe
I don't know, but Twitter Nyla is the best Nyla. Like she's like
I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did. And I just felt like it was like it felt really derived. It felt like they were like, here's this thing, and we're kind of gonna put our toe in the water, and we're gonna. But ultimately, it was like, okay, move on now. Thanks for your segment. Like it,
right?
Just, it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it felt like it was like existing on its own outside of a, and then it was like, that's it. I really felt, I don't know, kind of like dejected at the end, I guess.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like it just it didn't come like the execution maybe just didn't come through. But I think, like we said, like I don't have a problem with Jade having short matches just because that's kind of the thing that she's done. Like I don't, especially when she's wrestling, like she should beat somebody like Marina Shafir in 2 minutes. Like Marina, like
especially on her I mean, with that return thing and everything. Like you don't. It's really fine to come back and get beat.
And I do want to make a quick aside. That was Jade got her 40th win Monday night on Elevation against Trisha Dora.
Are they counting that in the?
Yeah, it's they got it the 40-0 graphic. No, it was for the it was the title shot.
So it
maybe
was,
it was maybe 3 minutes. Trisha Dora deserved more than that. I was a little irritated. I knew what they were doing. Like I don't have an issue with Jade. It's just they've never treated. They could do so much more with Trisha Dora. If you watch the show, you know that we love Trisha Dora here, and she's
really great.
She's great, and she deserves more than that. And I knew what they were doing, but like they didn't promote. They barely promoted the match to begin with. Like I just happened to see the graphic earlier on Monday, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then so she became 40-0, and then like nobody like Twitter. AEW did tweet out the graphic that she's 40-0, but it was interesting. So Marina she's 41-0 now, wrestling Marina. And so that seemed kind of weird that they did that too. And I was like, why? Because I really thought they were just going to save Nyla and make Nyla be her 40th victory. But apparently I guess she's going to be I don't know if they'll have her, maybe they'll have her wrestle a few more times between now and Full Gear, and maybe Nyla's 45. I mean, she's only 4 wins away, and we're 2 weeks away, so maybe she'd have to wrestle like 4 times between now and then. So I'm not really sure why they did that. I was a little confused, especially because they didn't really I mean, I think they did talk about it on Dynamite, but that she became like 40 is a big deal, and they just were like, and again, like I do watch Elevation, so I appreciate like being able to see that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, like with the way they're building her, it just seemed very weird that they did her 40th win on Elevation. And it was just,
it's weird because now it's like, is she going to drop the title at Full Gear, or are they going to keep it on her?
No, I think what my guess
winner is coming. So to get her to 50.
I think she's keeping it on. She's keeping it until January 5th is 1 full year of her having the title. So I think it's going to be in January.
See what you okay.
So I think they're going to make her go, but I think they're going to build to. I can't tell. That's the one thing I can't tell if they're going to, because there are some weeks where she's just on TV talking and just being Jade. So I can't tell if they're going to drag out getting to 50. Like if her 1 year will be also her 50th win. Like if they'll drag out the 50 and the 1 year together, or if they're going to go ahead and get her to 50 wins and maybe she gets to like 60. Like I can't really, I think regardless, I think she gets to the 1 year mark on January the 5th, and Dynamite is January the 4th. So I guess that Rampage, like she'll surpass her year, and then maybe on Rampage, she, I don't know if they'll have her lose that quickly.
Or they'll like fudge it a little because it's wrestling and say it's a year.
Well, they have been really good about not making her, not doing the Goldberg record with her like Nyla did. Nyla had a sign on Dark, and I think it was Dark or Elevation, where she came out in a long blonde wig, and then she did Jade's pose. And like before she came to the ring, and then they held up a sign when I can't remember now off the top of my head who she wrestled, but they had a sign and it said like 57-0. So they were clearly poking fun at the Goldberg stuff, which I thought was really funny. Especially because, people have obviously made the comparison with Jade. The thing about Jade is she's legitimately 41-0. Like she didn't have made up matches in between. Yeah, so like, I think they'll keep that, but so maybe she holds it till Battle of the Belt. If they do a Battle of the Belts in January, like they did this year, maybe she drops it then. I think regardless, they get her to the 1 year mark. I don't know if it's 50 wins or if they'll go ahead and do like maybe 60 or 55 or something like that. Like, I think she will. So at this point, I mean, she's now, what, 9 wins away from 50. So that seems like they're going to get her to 50. And so it's depending on when they get to the 50. Is the 50 going to come by January the 5th, or is it going to come, like, is she going to hit her 1 year mark and then January, like maybe they have a wrestle on Dynamite and maybe she gets her 50th win on Dynamite and then the next day is when she gets her 1 year as champion, and then we start saying maybe she is going to drop the belt at some point after that. So it seems like, unless they're just going to make her Roman Reigns and she holds it for 2 years, I don't know. She's running out of, the only thing with that is she's running out of people to wrestle if they do that. So it's, I think the 1 year mark seems like that's kind of where they're going with her.
Well, that's 9 weeks. Like the first week of January is 9 weeks away.
Okay.
So I popped my little calendar up here now while you were saying that, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure if I counted those weeks right, that's and that is actually kind of I guess I mean, in the end, that's actually pretty good, because that like really makes the belt important, because the first person to ever held it for a year.
And that's what I was thinking too. And so
that's actually kind of cool. And with her saying what, like, I mean, part of the reason we're bringing this up is because she tweeted out about, you know, she felt like the women could get better matches if they got more time.
Yeah. So, she did. Yeah, she did an interview with, I think it was Steve Fall from NBC, and she said that she thinks that women in AEW could be having 5-star matches if they were given the time.
So, and I mean, so like a 9-week build to her having a title for a year, that gives them something to, like, that's a backbone for some storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have to, because whoever is the one to hand her first defeat, and take the title like that, so whoever is secondary, whoever's going to be the second champion, has to be somebody that they think is, because I don't think that they will have the next person have a year-long run either. Like, I think they'll give them that they've got to do like a strong at least 6-month run with them. Like, I think is what
they'll need to get a good push so that
it's got to be on somebody, like it's got to be on somebody like an Athena or a Willow, or, you know, or somebody who is going to be the next cornerstone, which, again, the rumor was supposedly that Chris Statlander was supposed to have taken the title from her at Grand Slam. But then obviously, then she got injured, and she's going to be out for a while. So I still don't think, obviously, it's not going to be her, but they clearly have an idea that whoever is going to be the person who takes it off her, who's going to carry the torch after her, has got to be somebody that they're willing to get behind. And that's because that's a big deal. Because then that was like, I wrote an article, I don't think it's out yet, but it's about like about the Nyla feud. And I was like, I don't think Nyla wins at Full Gear, but if Nyla were to be the one who dethrones Jade, Nyla would be the first the first champion to hold, first woman to hold both belts, because she was the AEW Women's Champion. And so if she were to get the TNT title, then she would be the first woman in AEW to hold both titles, which I think is a really interesting story. I don't know if that's what they'll do. Maybe they have Jade beat Nyla here at Full Gear, and then Nyla's like, and then she wants the title for, like, she wants to do it for real. And so maybe they use those 9 weeks, and maybe maybe she gets her rematch at Battle of the Belts and she wins it. I mean, that's a story that they could tell if they wanted to. But I think that they, like you said, 9 weeks should be enough time for them to tell a story if they're going to have her drop it that soon. Like as soon as she hits the 1 year mark. But then again, Revolution's in February. So maybe they have her drop. So they may not have her drop it. But I mean, there's Battle of the Belts. So there's that. Then they usually do like a whole bunch of themed shows in January too. So
and there's Winter is Coming too.
There's Winter is Coming, which I don't think it's then, because that'll be before the 1 year period. So I don't see it being Winter is Coming, but Battle of the Belts is in January. So I could definitely see that could potentially, if they don't want to wait till Revolution or have the new champion defend their title at Revolution, then Battle of the Belts is probably an ideal place for Jade to drop the title if they're going to have her drop it that soon after getting the 1 year mark. It's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, so But yeah, so it's really interesting that Jade made that comment, and I'm glad that she also recognizes that the women aren't getting enough time. And she even said, she was like, I'm still fairly new. I haven't been here long enough. I've not been in
I
the industry
love
long
that part
enough.
of the article.
She was just like, so I can't say for sure, this is how other companies do things, or like, she was like, I'm still new to this. But she does recognize like the women need more time, and I think as a champion, that's really important for her to say that, the women do need more time, and it can't just be, sorry about that. That they can't just, they need equal time too. And so I'm glad that a champion is one of the people who
well,
is
she's
saying
holding
that.
a belt and she's using her platform, and she kind of, I mean, it's actually, I've been like mid on, like, I've been right in the middle on Jade. I recognize like she's undeniable in what she is, and her package is perfect and all of those things. And it's just been something that's maybe only kind of for me. But I have grown in respect for her, because it's like, okay, she went to Bryan Danielson and asked him to train her, and she, and wanted these, and she's trying to learn these things. Right. And then to say something in that, like that article where she admitted, I'm hanging back because I don't know this beast that is the wrestling business.
Yeah, right.
And it's a monster. And so I think that I have a lot of respect for her, and I have even more respect that her, she's like, I know this and I don't know this, but I do know we're not getting enough time. I do know that because she even said it, we get one match on Dynamite, and that's kind of it. They haven't even been giving them time on Rampage, really. I mean, obviously this week was a certain kind of a week where you had like a special match and everything, but I don't think that excuses the fact that,
no,
I mean, it's great that
it doesn't.
Not enough people watch Dark and Elevation for that to be as relevant as putting it on Dynamite.
Right. I agree. And so I'm glad that she said that. And another interesting thing that she tweeted out is that she was like, at this point, I just want to wrestle the men. Yeah. She's like, and I don't know if she means like regularly.
To do it.
And it was John Silver posted. No, was it John Silver? Somebody, I can't remember if he said he wanted the match or somebody tweet. It may have been John Silver. There was a while back, I can't even remember what the context was or the show was, but Jade and John were on the outside and they were both flexing at each other. And so John Silver, I think, is stepping up. And then I saw last night, Jade tweeted, she was like, I need to figure out what my gear is going to be for the next pay-per-view. And John Silver said, wear a bald cap. And he was like, and wear, I think he said purple shorts or purple trunks and a Johnny Hungy shirt. And he was like, and I think you're set. So I thought, and then it was funny
I would love it.
Yeah, that was
in a Johnny Hungy shirt now. Just like that is like the meme that I need right now.
Yeah,
just,
that would be so much fun.
Just them taking a picture together wearing maybe him wearing her shirt and her wearing one of his.
Please. And he should have like a wig on or something like that.
That was free, folks. So, go ahead. And, I mean,
we have good ideas over here.
Because we know that, because of course Jade Cargill and John Silver watch our show every week.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah. And then it was funny. JWoww tweeted and she tagged Zach Clayton because Zach is recently signed, and she tagged him and he was like, wow. He's like, nice. He's like, I didn't agree to this. Why are you just nominating me to wrestle Jade? Like, I don't want that soak.
It is actually something that's interesting. There is a point. There's been many men in on Dynamite on the roster who have also said, tweeted at times, that could have been a women's match. That could have been maybe that could have been. I mean, even the men are acknowledging it. So yeah, and we have a lot of all our pals over at like the Dynamite show and the Boom and but they're almost as frustrated as us about how some of that stuff is being handled. And I can't stop watching SmackDown addiction continues, and I watched how the people react to the women, and I do get a little frustrated because I'm like,
And I haven't watched NXT in a really long time, but I was talking to somebody at Daily DDT, and this Tuesday he said they had 5 or 6 women's, like they had matches and segments. Like he said they even did a backstage segment with some of the women who haven't been featured very much or something like that. And so like if NXT can get it together, right? Then that says a lot about you. And again, that goes back to my worry of what happens when Ring of Honor is on TV or streaming. If you can barely get your AEW women's division together, what are you going to do about the Women of Honor? And they can't combine. My fear is they're going to try to combine it all into one thing, but then where does that leave Mercedes Martinez? Because she's the champion. And we've seen Willow is all elite, so I don't necessarily see her going. I mean, I can see her having matches there, but I don't think she's going to be a fixture. She
seems like a better fix. She would fit on Dynamite better.
She does. And so maybe Maria does head back over to the Women of Honor side of things. Maybe they finally get their shit together and do something with Trish Adora, because Trish Adora she signed with Ring of Honor literally 3 weeks before they decided they were shutting down. She had 3 weeks that they had signed her.
I mean, at least they're booking her for matches, so maybe when they do get
on the radar, and maybe they go to, like, I don't know what they're doing with Maria as far as creative side of things, but maybe they're telling Maria, okay, Ring of Honor's women are coming. Who do you recommend that, like, who should we be taking a look at? Should we bring in, which women should we be bringing in to have matches on Dark to kind of see what it is that they do to get to meet them and things like that? Like, are they kind of doing that type of thing? So it seems like Trish is definitely on their radar. She should be getting a lot more than she's getting, but it does seem that they at least know her, and they are aware of her. And then maybe they're bringing in some of these Women Wrestle Army women and giving them shots. But I'm very concerned with the state of the way the AEW women's division is and how that's going to translate to Ring of Honor, because if they can't get the AEW women's division fixed or a focus on them, then they're going to have the exact same problems of Women of Honor. And now it's going to be 3 divisions basically that they can't get to go. Well, not 3 divisions, but I was thinking of 3 shows, basically: Rampage, Dynamite, and then whatever they do with Ring of Honor. And are they going to give because they did, even if I remember correctly, and maybe an ROH historian can help me remember this correctly, but
if anyone knows an ROH historian,
the Ring of Honor side of things, like, I don't think the women were on there very often. They did do Women of Honor where they had their own show, like they were featuring them separately, and they were featured. When they did the women's tournament, they did do that all on YouTube. And so I kind of see that. I have a feeling that's kind of where they're going to go with the women's division with AEW. And so it just seems like it's going to be a bigger problem than it already is, because they haven't gotten a handle on it at this 3.5 or a little over 3 years in. They haven't gotten a hold on it, and now we're going to be adding even more women, and I'm concerned about what they're going to do with that. And then, like you said, going back to WWE, we see they've got 3 shows. They have Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I
mean, they have a lot more time, obviously. Sure. I mean, 5 hours on a Monday night is
right.
Heavy. I mean, I pop into Raw occasionally. That's like the night that Bob closes, but SmackDown is the one. It's like, it's a good, because of the lead up into Rampage. It helps keep me, because sometimes I want to fall asleep, but I want to watch Rampage live. So that's been my whole thing, is watch SmackDown. It'll keep you awake. You're alive for Rampage.
Right.
But it is like, there is a difference. And I do, I mean, when you watch them, like when you watch things in a row, unfortunately, you tend to see that, like, I mean, I'm not like, crazy, but at the end of the day, like, they're featured stars on the WWE programming. They are part of the program. They are not,
they're not
afterthoughts, and they're not, it's not just one woman. They
have stories.
There's multiple women, and it's not it's no slight against Britt. I was I thought Britt was the shits at first, and she totally turned me around for her, and she earned everything that she got when she got it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But she can't be the only person.
Well, they run
unless you're gonna have people around her that are at least close to as strong. It's like, it's okay
you have to build
back
them up
on
to be on her,
because we have a whole men's division that's strong. But you can fall back on Mox every time. Or in New Japan, and Okada is a perfect example. When things go crazy, we put the belt on Okada and it's okay. But it's good because we have a whole other cast of men who can come in here and fight Okada, and will ultimately have a new champ, and it'll be fine. Yeah. We don't have those women around Britt, so you can't keep making her, unless she's putting people over
to their level. Well, that was kind of that was also kind of my argument with the Four Horsewomen. Like, they weren't built. I mean, Bianca aside, they really weren't building up women to be on the same level as the Four Horsewomen. It was always the Four Horsewomen involved in stories, involved in the title picture, but they weren't elevating these women to that. And again, Bianca, they seem to have finally, you can't deny Bianca. She's a star, and she's phenomenal, and she's incredible. And I'm so happy with the way they book her. But like you said, going back to that, you can't just have Britt. And then there was a lot of concern from fans that Britt was gonna be that she was gonna kind of be like a Charlotte Flair, where they were constantly shoving her down your throat every single week.
And people will ultimately just turn on her, and that will be
and they were starting to, when before she dropped the title to Thunder Rosa, that was happening. I saw a lot of, that's where the Charlotte comparisons really started, was they were like,
no good for the division either, because you took your big star and you beat everybody over the head with her, and now nobody likes her anymore, and you have to start over from scratch.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, but it's like, either commit or don't. That's my thing, is that you guys put it on here, and you decided to have a women's division, and you decided to make an issue of, we're going to feature people from all over, and we're going to so do it then.
Well, and then that kind of that goes back to the Forbidden Door thing, where they're bringing in all these men, but they're not bringing in the women. Like, you have Deonna and Britt, who were begging to have a match together, and they wouldn't let it happen. Then you have there's Jordan Grace
dragging the Jamie Hayter thing out way too long anyway. Right. It's
exactly.
I mean, if they don't do something with that at Full Gear, then I'm
running. Well, and it was the same thing they did with Julia. It was the same thing they did with Julia. They waited forever to turn her. They missed the perfect moment for her and took too long. And I mean, it still sort of worked, but then that kind of fizzled out, and it seems like they're back on track again. But yeah, there's a difference between long-term storytelling and then just taking their sweet time and then missing the moment. Almost because they nearly did it with the Acclaimed. They almost let that, that's we've talked about it. That's lightning in a bottle. And they nearly missed
the Acclaimed got themselves. I mean, they pushed themselves over.
Yeah, they did. They got to the point where they were where they couldn't deny them anymore, and they had to. And luckily, they acted on it. But then, the Jamie stuff should have.
Wardlow did too. So
yes, 100.
And he's doing this, and it's like, what are you doing? He was the hottest thing in the world.
Now it seems like we finally have a good feud with Powerhouse Hobbs coming up. Finally,
thank God.
It took long enough to get there.
Where the hell has he been?
Yeah, so it seems like they finally got that together. Now we have Ricky Starks kind of in the. He's back. Well, I didn't hear why, but I do know that he was. There was something he said he was off of TV because of some other issues. It was not wrestling related. He was not injured. But he did not.
And so I thought contract things.
Was there? Okay. See, I hadn't heard that part. I just know, but he didn't clarify it on Friday either. But anyways, it seems like they've got their stuff figured out. And so with Jamie, they've got really, the story is just, they have to do something with it now, or they're just going to have to drop the whole story altogether, I think, at this point, because they've missed so many moments. And so if they don't do it at Full Gear, this isn't a thing to push off to Winter is Coming, or the 1 year, I mean, the January 4th Dynamite. You can't, they've got to do it now.
I hope it happens at Full Gear. I think that would be a good, solid.
Yeah, and it seems like they've got it set up now because they have Tony versus Jamie, and they've kind of played in the Tony side of things of like how they, they used to be friends, and it was funny because I was like, so can Jamie only have one friend? She was like, well, she's Britt's friend now, and I was like, can Jamie only have one friend?
Well, I mean, Sasha and Bailey could only have one friend.
That is true. Maybe it's a heel thing. Maybe they can only, and then Rebel's just the lackey, and then Tony did not care. Tony,
you break up and you get back together and you're besties again. And
there you go.
It's good.
Yes.
So maybe that's what they're aiming for. If we get Jamie to be big enough, that's 2 people.
Right.
And Jade. I think that a lot of people do like Jade, though. I think that
they do. I think so. And she's really proven to be, she definitely has proven herself a lot, I think, and she's grown a lot in the last year. So I appreciate that from her. So I think whenever they do have her drop the title, they will make it they should make it a big deal, because holding a title like that, a brand new title, and she is the one who set the tone for a brand new title like that, can't be like, so whoever gets that after her they have a lot on them. And so is it going to be somebody like a Nyla who has been champion before? Is it going to be one of these women that they're trying to push in, and I don't, obviously it's not going to be like a Red Velvet or anything, because she's been missing for a while, and I don't think it'll be Kiera or anything like that. But then but they've got to start. I mean, who knows when Ruby Soho will be cleared to come back. I'm not sure when that is. And Penelope unfortunately got injured again as well. And I haven't heard an update on that, so I don't know how long they're expecting her to be out.
They should just throw Willow out there and see how she does. She's somebody I think that can kind of do the job. I think she can do it. They kind
of have that built-in story where Jade has beat Willow 3 times now. So they kind of have the built-in.
So she needs to beat her.
Yeah, and so they could. That's my pick for who should defeat.
I just feel like she's one of those people that could really actually help shape the division and become a big star in it. Yes. And I think that she'll learn a lot as she goes.
Yeah,
that will elevate her as a just big star in AEW. I think people will, if they give her some room, I think that the WWE will want her in a couple of years bad, because she has the potential to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. That kind of charisma does not just grow on trees.
Right. Exactly. Well, and it reminds me of Bianca. Like, they are not necessarily the same athletic wise, but charisma wise, and the way they endear themselves to fans. I see a lot of similarities in their star power and their charisma.
Well, Bianca turned me 100%. I was like,
and just how they're just both natural baby faces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Bianca is just so good at what she does, and Willow is and she's so raw because she's so new with it, and it's only the beginning for her. And if they handle her properly, like you said, she could be somebody who is in demand everywhere. And she should be.
Yep. Wow. I think we've continued to listen. We're for the women's division. We want to see it be good. You're going to hear us talking about it every time. I appreciate that Jade actually, again, I thought that it was a really good interview in terms of the fact that she just made it clear as like, this is what I do know, this is what I don't know, and the women need more time, which I think we can all agree on.
Yes, definitely. And she's like, at this point, I'm going to go wrestle the men if you don't do something. Put me and Sammy and Ty are always doing the mixed match. Well, and Penelope had been doing it. Her and Kip had been doing them before her injury. So now Jade's going to find her a Mel. Her and John Silver are just going to go.
That'd be fun.
I would love her and John Silver. Can you imagine those personalities?
That would be a fun match. That would be like one of those great Yano moment matches. Yeah. Like when Yano and Colt wrestle.
Right.
At the G1 that one year.
Yeah.
Or in the was that Best of Super? Anyway, it was everyone that cares about that remembers that match.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. It was kind of perfect. It was
so now I'm going to be pushing for Jade and John Silver to tag team, to be a title, to have a tag match at least once.
Hashtag Jade and John.
There we go. We're going to make that a thing.
That's a thing. Better be a thing now.
Yeah, so, we're gonna make it be one.
Let's go, folks. So at Powerbombshells on the Big Meltdown and the IG and the Podbean, and also you can find us on Fight Game Media YouTube. So go to the YouTube and just type in Fight Game Media, and you'll see the little here. You'll see the little headphone guys that are down here in the bottom, and you'll see our bombs because we're so cute. And if you just subscribe to that channel, it will let you know when things are happening, and you'll get stuff from us. And please support our Patreon and our Patreon fellows, because gosh, there's a lot of good content on our channel.
There really is. They are killing it over there, and it's definitely worth your $5.
It's worth your $5 a month, and if you can't do the $5 a month, the free feed really helps. Subscribing to that really helps too. But you get the Dynamite show, you get some of the special features from the BFI guys, the Brace for Impact if you're an Impact fan. And we just I'm not just a participant, I'm also a listener.
Me too. So. Me too. So so we support them. So we're not just saying it. We think you should. And like I said, there's so much content over there.
Our people.
And there's a lot of good content over there, especially if you're into if you're also into MMA stuff, there's that.
Oh yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely worth your $5 for all the things that you get there.
All right. So Sam and I think, unless you have anything else.
No, I think because I have a wrestling show to get to. So
Sam has to go to wrestling shows, people.
I haven't been to a live wrestling show in a while, and so I'm going to go support some people. We'll probably talk about it on next week's episode, because I've got a lot of wrestling coming up within the next week.
As it's taking place at an arcade, Mel is very interested.
Yeah, there's today there's an arcade one. Friday there's one at a brewery. And then Saturday I'm going to DPW. So
I need to visit Sam in her neck of the woods, because she's a lot of fun, cool wrestling. I love wrestling at cool venues.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is the first time this is the first time the arcade has held a wrestling show before. It is currently raining right now, I hear, but it looks like the show is still on. So we'll find out. I'll tweet later if something happens and it didn't go through, but I will use our social media and I will post pictures.
And I will too. Let's get some pictures.
We'll get some animal pictures.
We'll get some dog pictures on them. We'll get some Miley and Riley.
Yes, we'll have those up there.
There we go. All right. Are you so this has been the Powerbombshells show on the Fight Game Media Network. We appreciate you listening.
We do.
Have a good week.
Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next week.